All right. Okay, check. I had a bit of problems here starting. I hope I'm live. Hi, Bob. Yeah, so today we are speaking about something that is a question all the time. Data engineer versus data scientist, and then some data scientists say, "Yeah, but I'm doing data engineering as well." And hi, Sebastian. And so a lot of questions were or are there, and a lot of misunderstanding. And on Twitter, I had a conversation which where I have been linked to towards data science article about two types of data scientists, type A and type B. And I think these two types make it very, very clear of where's the difference between a data scientist and a data engineer. Because I think this leads, or I can show you there the points of misunderstanding where stuff is going wrong. And okay, let's dive right in about the data scientist points. So the data scientist, Connor said here, to data scientist, and then he said there's a type A and a type B. Let me just quickly zoom in a bit. So type A is, he says, is the data scientist for analysis. So, and I quote, "This type is primarily concerned with making sense of data, working with it in a fairly static way." Type A data scientist is very similar to a statistician, but knows all the practical details of working with data that aren't taught in the statistics curriculum, cleaning and so on and so on. So this is the analytics guy, the analytics data scientist. And the other one, type B, is the type for building. Type B data scientists share some statistical background with type A, but they are also very strong coders and may be trained software engineers. The type B data scientist is mainly interested in using data in production. They build models which interact with users, often serving recommendations, product people, you may know, ads, movies, search results, and so on. I have linked the whole article in the description of the video, so check this out. So here are the two different parts of data scientists, and the ones who say I'm a data engineer as well, I'm guessing these are the type Bs here, because they are also interested in automation. Okay, and so where does the data engineer fit in here? And to do that, I'm going to make a bit of a excursion into startup phases and so on. But before we go into this, if you like this channel, if you like the videos, please check out my website, andreaskretz.com. You can also go plumbersofdatascience.com, and there you can find the links to all the podcasts. You can download the data engineering cookbook. There's a link to the GitHub, and for the support. So if you want to support, I have a Patreon. You can PayPal me a small amount of money, and attach a message that I read during the live stream. You can send SuperChats here in LinkedIn, in YouTube, and I have an Amazon affiliate link where if you want to buy something from Amazon, you can support this channel. Okay. Where was I? Okay. The points I want to I want to say about how does the data engineer and the the scientists fit into the whole startup world and so on. So, and I think this makes it clearer where we are. So, if you look at the startups, you have different phases. You have the first phase. If you do something, it's the proof of concept. So you have this is the first phase. There you go. There, the data scientist, the type A. The type A data scientist is going and he either collects data offline from some resources or from existing databases, or what he does is he's going out and taking measurements. So like the thing that we have seen a lot on the internet, image recognition. He's the one who is getting the measurements from cars with cameras and setting up or collecting the data, or making defining how the data is getting collected, and then he's using this data to prove that he can recognize some images or some what is happening. So this is the first phase. Then the next phase is the MVP phase, the minimum viable product. This is where you have your first, let's say, test product. This is to learn. And also what this does is this has some sort of so light automation. Okay. Here's where the type B comes in to support. So here the type B data scientist is going to support how to bring these, or how to get what the data scientist type A did in the proof of concept. He's going to implement it, or he's going to automation. He's going to automate this guy. And then when you go further, this is roughly on the lean startup. I would say the next phase. This is the refinement phase, and like the real product. And in this phase, basically, this is to automate everything and get the product ready to scale. And the next phase then, the next phase then is the scaling. So in the refinement phase, you're testing if the customer wants your product and likes your product, and when you find out that that's okay, everything works, you struck gold, and this is the product. You can refine the product, you make it better, add features that are not available in the MVP, and then you're going further and scaling. And so this is then heavy automation. Okay. Now, if you look at as an example, at where can I scroll here? No, this is the wrong button. No longer sure how I set up this thing. So when you look at a platform, what you have is you are going to have some sort of a UI. And then what you're going to have is some sort of a database that maybe supports the UI. Okay. Then what you're going to have is you're going to have some APIs to talk to the whole thing. And this in front of here, this is the internet. Can I write this here? So No, it's getting funny. So on the left, it's the internet. And these APIs might be connected here to the database or whatever. And then you're going to have you have some streaming stuff. For instance, you have your big data. You have some streaming. You have your big data database or NoSQL database. Let's call it NoSQL. NoSQL. And what you're going to also have is so this is a very, very simplified thing. And what you're also going to have is, let's say, a block of analytics. And the analytics has access here, has access here. This might be, for instance, a Kafka or a, how is it called on AWS? Doesn't matter. This might be a MongoDB, whatever. And these APIs might feed the streaming here, feed somewhere in the database, and so on. So you get the idea. And then the UI might be taking something from here. And the analytics is basically on the right. So the analytics, this is where the data scientist is going on. Data scientist type A and B. So these block here, this is the block of the data scientist. And this block here, oh, my pad is not big enough. This here, more or less, this is an extreme case, but this here, this is the data engineer. Of course, the data engineer has here also something to say. Let's dot it. And so if you look at the whole thing, in the proof of concept phase, the type A data scientist works here in the analytics department and he's working with some data. Then this might be offline. He's getting the data from somewhere through a USB drive. Doesn't matter. And then when you move them to the MVP phase, then you need to set something up in front. So you need the data engineer, in my opinion, is also a architect. Has to be some sort of an architect, especially if you're working in smaller groups, in smaller startups, or if you're in a large company and you're doing something new. So what is it what the data engineer does here? So he's doing the automation. How is the user getting in? How is he accessing data that is stored for the user or for visualizations? How are the APIs defined? How is the data, or how should the data look for the APIs? Where's my marker? Doesn't work. Okay. And so, of course, everything he needs to talk to the data scientist, because what the data scientist tells the data engineer is how he wants to access the data, how the data is formatted for him, how he wants to work with the data. And then the data engineer is going to make sure that data from the API is used in streaming and is getting to the data store where the data engineer, where the data scientist is working with it. And basically, he's doing the automation of how to get the data in, how to process the data, how to store the data, how to make analytics so statistical analytics, And then the data engineer, the data scientist, he's in charge of the analytics. And this is where type A and type B comes in. So the type A is making more of proof of concept. He's an analytics developer. He's trying out stuff and figuring out if it works. And the type B is doing automation, and he's doing automation for the analytics. So he's figuring out how to create the analytics process so it can be automated, and he's in charge of the automation here. And so basically, when data scientists say, yeah, but I'm also doing data engineering, yes, you're doing data engineering, but you're doing it's mostly a part of it. They can also do something here on the database side, because of course they need to let me dot this. They need to know how this works. They need to know how to access data from Kafka and write data to Kafka. They need to know how the storage here works and how to store data and how to retrieve data. But for the overall, the architecture, the setup, the maintenance, the operation, the architecture, that's the data engineer's job. The analytics guys, they are doing they are in charge of the automation for the analytics, but for the other stuff, or for the whole thing, this is more the data engineer side. And so for me now, it's very clear why data scientists say also they are doing a lot of data engineering. They are doing parts of data engineering, but not the same stuff as a data engineer, because they are good in analytics. They know how to do analytics, and they know how to automate the analytics. They also can tell the data engineer, what tools do I need here in the on the analytics side? What's the best choice for the job that we're doing? And this is always different, but it will be it's a divided thing, and they have different jobs. So quickly, let's get to. I'm trying to. By the way, I'm trying to keep the streams here short. So I'm thinking half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and do more streams on topics, not only three times a week. So let's go with the questions. Rodney says type A doesn't have a bachelor in computer science. Type B has a bachelor. No. That's the other way around. So what I would say, the type A, this is a PhD guy. Type A is a bachelor or master. And he's having some knowledge in the domain that he's working, and this is the expert to come up with solutions who proving the ideas from not only from the management, the proving the ideas that the whole thing works. And so the type A is more of a PhD guy. The type A is very narrow and has lots of deep knowledge of analytics and the domain. And the type B, that is more the Bachelor of Science. That is more the how do I bring this concept now into production, into some sort of automation. Type B. Sometimes type B guys can also do type A stuff. It's not a black and white thing, but the type, how do you say this? The type A that is more I don't know how to say this. Let me come back to this. But Rodney, I hope you get the idea. Gonzalo says, is it difficult to start in data science from a different area? I mean, for example, if someone who studies economics or finance likes math and is interested in getting new knowledge, overall, the thing is, and this is as well as I said in the last podcast, it's the same thing. It's as true for data science as for data engineering. You can go into these fields. The basic stuff is not it's doable. The only thing you need to do is you need to figure out in which direction do I want to go. Do I want to in which field do I want to go? You need to figure this out if you want to start, for instance, as a data scientist. Do I want to go into image recognition? Do I want to go into natural language processing? And so on, and so on, and so on. And then you have a path. You can go narrow and go this route. Figure out the deep understanding of what other people are doing. What should you do? And then apply for jobs in this narrow band. And then you're going to go somewhere. But if you go wide and look at everything, this is not really going to work. Rodney says, I don't think it's difficult, Gonzalo. You need to have time to make the MOOCs and projects. Yeah, you need to do projects. Exactly. Daniel Burke has a Bachelor of Science in nutrition. He got a job in data science, but he's very famous. Yeah, Daniel. It's you need to work yourself into these jobs. It doesn't matter, data science, data engineering, it's always the same. Figure out what you find interesting and go this way, and don't go broad and learn everything you don't need, you know. This says, I mean, the type B needs to know about algorithms and complexity, things that you study in computer science. Yeah. Type B also needs to know about algorithms and stuff. He doesn't lay he doesn't lay the groundwork in this man, in this endeavor, in this startup thinking. The groundwork is laying the type or the type A is doing the groundwork. He's doing the complex the proof of concept. So the deep. It's hard to describe it different than I did before. He's getting the basics done. He's making sure the math works, and he's making sure the outcome is as expected in theory or as they thought. And of course, the type A needs to understand this stuff, but he doesn't need to come up with this stuff. And so the type B, most in this scenario, doesn't create the papers that get published. The type A creates the papers that get published, and the type B is also a computer science guy who is doing automation. You know. What's your thought on having one person to do the whole life cycle, science and engineering? How important is the segregation of duties to you? Super important. Super important. If you try to start with one guy and he's doing everything, doesn't work. With two, doesn't work. You need to have you're hiring data scientists to do what? To do data science stuff. You hire them to do analytics. You're hiring them to solve problems that cannot be solved otherwise. So these are specialists for analytics. And the data engineer, that is not the guy to do analytics. That is the computer science guy. That is the architect. That is let's say, the processing specialist. He selects broadly the tools, and he knows which tools work how, and he can basically work together with the analytics, with the data scientists, to figure out the right way and to figure out the right tools and how to set them up. But he is going to focus on the engineer. The data engineer is going to focus on the on the engineering part, on the platform part, the operations part. I have seen some stuff about Daniel. He's also having a YouTube channel. So if you don't have or if you haven't seen the YouTube channel, check out his YouTube channel. Write a comment that I sent you. He has a different style than me, completely different. But he's doing it basically. He has a route, and he's going this route, and he doesn't go wide and want to do learn everything and do everything. And it's as I haven't watched many of his videos, but I think he's on the right track here as well for data science stuff, or for data scientist stuff. It's always a bit annoying that if you say data science, everybody thinks also of the data scientist, or only of the data scientist. But the engineering is super important as well. Yeah. Okay. That's more or less already it. I hope it was clear how this is how this is thought out or displayed. You have the proof of concept with type A. You have the MVP where you are starting to automate stuff, and where the type B data scientist is working. Type A can also be a type B. If you're a small project and your type A is also good in automation or in computer science, you don't need to start with getting two guys. But the more you go, the more you refine your product and go in the direction of worldwide scaling, you need to have different people for different jobs. And but also in the MVP phase, this is basically, or sometimes in the proof of concept phase, this is where you start and where you need a data engineer who is going to support the data scientist in selecting tools and selecting how to just say. I thought I had to sneeze. He's going to basically work with him how to select the right tools for the right data structures, and figuring out how to get the data to the data scientist and to the end user, or to the APIs. That's basically the part below here. Our different jobs, both very interesting. I'm not interested, for instance, in the data scientist or A or B. Doesn't interest me very much. I like to build platforms who are processing all the data, who are basically enable the data scientist to do his stuff and reliably. Yeah. And so this is again, this is my view. Depending on the project you are, and depending on the culture in your company, this might be a little bit different. But this is a way I have learned in the past years that is working and making sense. And the thing is, and also why I'm splitting this into the analytics of the data scientist. or data scientist is reliable for analytics and automation of analytics. Now you could say, Andreas, but it doesn't make sense to use different tools for the engineering part and a different tool for the analytics part. Of course, that's not always the case. But what you don't want to do in general is, as an engineer, as a platform architect, you don't want to tell the data scientist, you need to use this tool, and you need to use this tool, but the other are off limits, doesn't work, we cannot support it, and finished. The idea is to give the data scientist freedom so he can basically choose the tools that are that fit to the needs of the analytics and the algorithms that they use and the automation that they use. Ideally, this everything fits together, but it's also possible that the analytics sides use different tools than the processing side, the engineering side side of a platform. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to finish for today, and I'm going to try to come on tomorrow as well. Let me just check if there are let me just check if there are any messages, for instance, on PayPal. Come on. No. Okay, all good. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I hope this helps, and I hope this makes it a bit clearer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this into a small PowerPoint and give this whole thing that I have drawn into a shinier look and not as handwritten stuff. One more question, Silly. Any thoughts about AWS or Google Cloud Platform certification? Somebody asked this a few streams ago as well. So my thoughts about these is, and this is again fitting into what I've been talking about the last streams about going narrow. Select the platform that you like, for instance, Google or AWS, and then do the certification there, and then look for jobs in this for this platform. Don't try to go AWS or go Google Cloud. You can also try to find out what other people are using and go for one. Look into it. I'm guessing you find reviews for both online, how people like these. So select one, go narrow, and then look for jobs who need the one you have learned, and then you're golden. Okay. One more thing. My phone is not here. Doesn't matter. I'm showing this to you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Again, I hope this helps. If you like this one, hit the like button so we let the algorithms know that they should share this as much as possible. And then, hopefully until tomorrow. Either way, I will be on next Monday, but I think I'm going to make it tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.